What's up, chat? Welcome back to the stream. It is Wednesday. The Warhamster has delivered us a great bounty of content. I love content because we get all the new detachments and stuff from the War for Armageddon and or Yarick Returns or whatever they're calling the new campaign book. I forget it's like both. Armageddon : The Return of Yarick. It sounds like a fucking Marvel movie, chat. The Guardians of Armageddon 17 : Yorick's back, baby. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It's going to be great. As a note, a couple of notes. I didn't release a video. I made a community post about it. I released a video about my game. That's a side project of mine. It's just like a tutorial. It's pretty cool. I spent a lot of time on it, so please go watch it. You can check that out in the posts tab on the channel. In addition, I want to talk about something very funny. Because Games Workshop got me good. They got me so good. So yesterday, when we were talking about this article, which talks about the new orc detachments and stuff, I was confused about this sentence because, if you'll notice, this sentence is different than the one we looked at on stream. So I got a bunch of people in the comment section being like, Trevi is so stupid. Why didn't he just read the stratagem that was right here to explain what this sentence was referring to? First of all, the sentence has been totally rewritten to talk about how big weapons will wound battle wagons on 3s and not 2s. And the stratagem wasn't there. So I feel like my confusion was very justified. But somebody was like, I saw a couple comments talking about like how dumb I was. And then I went back to look at the article. I was like, wait a minute. That's different. So if you watch the live stream, you'll see what I'm reacting to with that. But it also goes to show you that typically, and this is about to be the case right now, because I basically roll out on these as soon as I see the article go up, I will typically be live streaming about them before I have read through them all the way. So sometimes I will misread things like take Titan grade weapons wounding battle wagons on 2s to make Titan grade weapons wounding battle wagons on 2s. And so that'll just happen. But I thought it was very funny because I went through this entire live stream being very confused. And Games Workshop has they got me good. They got me good by changing it after the fact. Anyway, neither here nor there, chat. Let's talk about some new shit. We have not yet talked about. Actually, I guess we'll hop on to points values for units that we've seen real quick. Because some of them are pretty wild. So if we like start with, unfortunately, they don't add in new units as updates into the Minotaur build manual, like in a way that they're obvious. So what we're gonna do is hop in and just see what we can do here. Also, I think while I'm here, real quick, chats, I think I'm going to see if I can edit my screen share so it looks a little bit better. Because it's off to the side on my thing. So let me just fix that and then it will look a little nicer. All right, chat. We're doing it live. We're doing it live. Just so I'm not cutting off the data sheets is all it's what I would not like to do, or the PDFs, I should say. All right, cool. Sweet. This is gonna have to do. Hopefully that looks okay. So we can start with Inquisitor Croyle, who is 100 points. It feels good. That's the guy who gives rerolls to Imperial Agent units. Seems solid. Or, I guess, Battle Line also. 100 points, I think, for a lone operative unit who's very useful from a utility standpoint and also shoots hard and also gives you an army effect. I would say a very reasonable points cost. He's also not the easiest thing in the world to kill because he's got an invuln save. He's got 6 wounds. He's not going to die, like, immediately, so I don't know. Coral for 100. I'll buy that for $1 worth of points. Ryan G, what's up?
Briong 6931 donated $5 through Super Chat. So can you confirm that fire dragons got unnerfed? Heard that going around.
Can I confirm that fire dragons got unnerfed? Doesn't look like it. And from a points standpoint? Or in their faction pack? What would have been nerfed about them? I guess I'm not sure. I believe were they 120 per unit before? I think it sure looks like they were. Let's look. Survey says, the archive says 120. No, it looks like they're the same points cost. So I don't know. Oh, something about a fire and fade? That would... So they haven't highlighted a change to the Eldari faction pack or the balance data slate. So I'm going to assume no. Was that in Fire and Fade? No, it was in Skyborn Sanctuary. Skyborn Sanctuary is in... No, that's the same. Yeah, I don't know, chat. Fire and Fade. Cannot embark in transport. No, all this stuff is the same as it was previously. I'm not sure what you're up, what you're on for. On about. Dragons didn't change. Marines got a rule to Fire and Fade. Okay, I don't know what we're talking about, chat. I don't know what we're on to. This is over my head, I guess. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we'll move on and talk about points cost changes. Adeptus Sororitas is the other one with their new character. What's her name? Lady Goober person. Intransia Frey. Intransia Frey comes in at a staggering 150 points. She does give you, like, access to lethal hits, which is good, and she shoots okay, which is also good, but she's, like, no Morvenval. She's 35 points less than Morvenval. So, like, not uncomparable to Morvenval. One of the strongest characters in the entire game. From a points cost standpoint. And I guess the idea is that she, like, provides you significantly more army support, but I don't think that's necessarily true, because I don't think the lethal hits you're getting once per turn from Intransia until she dies is as good as Morvenval killing the universe. So, like, I don't know. That feels dramatically too much. I think we had talked about her, because she's so directly comparable to Junith. Junith is like 80, right? And it basically doesn't make any sense for them not to have a comparable points value, right? Because they're basically the same character. Intransia hits harder, but I would say situational lethal hits is better than a command point every turn. She also can't lead units. She doesn't have a leadership ability. She's, like, very marginally harder to kill, but I think that is a side grade. Like, she represents a bunch of side grades. Her ability's worse, but she has... like, more ranged attacks. She's harder to kill, but she can't lead or improve units at all. So, like, she should be maybe a little bit more expensive than Junith, but I don't know why she's coming in at 150. Like, literally double the points value. Doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it, chat. I don't get it. Yeah, this doesn't feel like a points cost that is pointed to move. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm a crazy silly goose, but that feels a little strange to me. She's, like, vehicle keyworded, which always makes it funny when things get, like, really inexpensive as a vehicle keyword, but it is what it is. I don't know. Orcs are the other one. Let's take a peek at Wazdaka Gutsmech over here. Orcs on page 29. This will be a big one because obviously they're getting all their new detachments. The thing just lied to me. It's page 30. Unless I misread it, which is very likely. Wazdanka Gutsmack is 175, which I think definitely does feel reasonable for what he provides to the army. Because he's very difficult to remove early game, he's super fast and he's like really, really super high damage. Plus he's hypermobile. Because he's useful in basically any army, regardless of your composition, if you discount him too much, he just becomes a staple. He's basically like Snickrot 2.0, right? Except that instead of just teleporting around and doing actions, he can teleport around and kill you. So 175 does feel pretty reasonable for that guy. I think we were like talking about probably somewhere in that points range. If he was sub like 160, like 170 probably, you would just take him in every army. 175, you have to think about it. It feels like to me. But you'll probably do it. If he was 200 plus, I think it would be a tough sell. But at 175, I think a lot of times you're going to try to fit him in the army. Which is probably where he should be, I imagine. Figured that in Transio would be 120. I could see 120. 150 feels way too much, though. Like, I don't totally understand. I don't get it. Wazdaka, though, 175 for that profile, for that top line, it seems good to me. I would play that. What is his comparison to Mazrag Scragbad? That was the thing we were directly comparing. Yeah, he's 35 points more expensive than Mazrag, which feels pretty reasonable. Or excuse me, 30 points more. That's a much kinder comparison, I think, between the two than it is between Intransia Frey and Morven Vol. Morven Vol, the Abyss Sanctorum, versus like two orcs on big bikes. Makes a lot more sense. All right, and then we have Astra Militarum points values, right? I think those are all the units that we are looking at. Astra Militarum points. There we go. Here we are, Chance. We have these ones are easy to find because so many of them are commissars. I'll just start with the same number. Holy shit. All right. Well, some of these are pretty wild. I love this idea that a 12 wound, 4+ invulnerable save vehicle that does impact mortals and can generate potentially infinite orders is 40 points less than a single man on foot. I love this. In fairness, 150 for Commissar Yarrick. That does feel steep. But I think that they are aggressively pointing him in case his ability to force multiply in a big way becomes too ubiquitous, right? It feels like if they had pointed him at like 95 or something, he would show up so much that they would just eventually end up getting to somewhere around here. 150 feels a little steep for like a guy who's not, I guess he regenerates himself. So it's not fair to say that he's like not useful late game because he doesn't hit super hard. He's only has 4 attacks and a gunshot, I guess, like a good gunshot within 12. But he's like sticks around for a while. So you get 2 turns of use out of him in the late game. And then in the early game, he's like pumping out his like pulsed orders in a huge way. It does feel steep, but it doesn't feel unfair to the same level it does with Intransia, in my opinion. Because he does have the potential to order literally your entire army. So, I don't know. I think that's probably okay. Commissar Graves on foot. I don't feel like that's a datasheet that we're particularly interested in. She's like sort of whatever, so, I mean, it doesn't really matter what she's costed at. Commissar Graves in vehicle for 110, bro. Okay. I see what's up. You want to shift those new Centaur RSV reworks. I see what's going on, G-Dub. They said, hey, everyone's going to buy this. Commissar Graves at 110 feels ludicrous, to be honest. I feel like you would take it. You would strongly consider and probably would take this model even if it didn't have its order ability, right? At the baseline, it shoots, what does it shoot? Like fucking 40 times or something. It's just a billion gunshots. I don't know why I'm looking back here. We have to look at the faction pack. We'll peek. We'll open the faction pack real quick. This is gonna be a long one because Estimable Time's chunky. Data sheet should be here. Oh, I almost nailed it. Oh, I was 1 page off. I almost nailed it. So Commissar Graves shoots 30 times within 18, right? Because she has 12 shots from her big gun, and then 6 shots from each of the little guns. And she has 3 little guns. Is that right? Am I crazy? She has 2. Excuse me. She has 2. So she shoots 24 times. So it's a 4+8 vehicle that shoots 24 ranged attacks with a base 3+ ballistic skill and can generate orders, right? Plus is good in melee. She's strength 6, 2/2 lance, plus does mortal wounds on the charge. So like even if you just ignore this, you would consider that for 110. This obviously is a little bit difficult to proc because it's like such a weird and arcane ability. So I guess I don't like strongly dislike the fact that it is not being like massively over costed, but it does feel like the top line profile here is worth more than 100 points. Like from a baseline. Like OC5, 12 wounds that invuln, so it's not easy to kill. And even if you kill it, you're like, that was like barely more than a Chimera. It was 25 points more than a Chimera. Oh well. Like just as an objective holder, it's good. What would you rather have, chat? Level with me here. What would you rather have? Would you rather have a unit, a 4+8 invulnerable vehicle with lance, impact mortals, force multiplication, and 24 ranged attacks? Or would you rather have 1 unit of Vanguard veterans? I don't know. I feel like I would probably take Commissar Graves most of the time. That's a wild points value. That feels like a points value pointed to move models, to be honest, chat. I think that there's a lot of cases in which you will just try to fit this unit into your army just because it's good. It does compete very directly with a lot of like other things. You know, you're like 25 points off or 35 points off of just a Leman Russ, but that's a pretty solid comparison. 35 points goes a really long way in Astra Militarum. It's almost an entire extra unit. And you lose the guns, but you gain melee, and you gain OC, and you gain an invuln save. I don't know. Especially once we push to 11th edition, and invuln saves are going to be, I think, a little bit more valuable because you can't armor save stack quite as much. I think the Commissar Graves is going to be phenomenal. She feels incredible for at 110. Damn. Feels like it should be 125 to 135. That feels more reasonable to me. If it came in at 130, I would not be shocked. I would still be like, that seems good. That seems like a very good profile, and I still think you would take it. 110, I think you're just like, all right, I'll fucking slam it in there. Whatever. Like it generates my move orders for my vehicles, and it also sometimes generates orders for my infantry at the same time, and it also late games really hard, and it also objective holds really well, and it also shoots infantry. Like, I don't know. It just feels like a lot of good stuff. Hippogriff AFVs come in at 70, which does feel a little bit expensive. I do wonder if that Armored Skirmisher detachment maybe has more going for it than we... I mean, we talked about it being pretty good. And I do wonder if it has more going for it than we expected. But the direct comparison between the Hippogriff AFV and a Scout Sentinel is damning. It's so bad for the Hippogriff. It's much more maneuverable than a Sentinel, but you're losing like Hunter Killer missiles, and you're losing access to like the reroll effect, and you're using army support, and you're losing, you know, all this extra stuff. So I don't know. Hopefully in the detachments where they're designed to work well, it is worth that. It is tough though, because you do end up with this like glut of units, like in this like 55 to 60 point category, where they're just a bunch of really, really good options in Astra Militarum. And it's hard to... One thing they've done pretty well over the course of 10th edition, and I will give Games Workshop credit for this, is if they have a bunch of units that occupy a similar space, they will offset their balance very slightly. So like if you look at, for example, Tyranids, let's talk about Tyranids. All the gaunts, which are like mostly the same unit, right? There's like a ranged one and there's a melee one and there's a flying one, but they're all like 10 to 20 points off of one another, and they each have like a very slightly better effect, right? Chaos Demons is the same way. Chaos Demons between like 60 and 80 or 60 and like 90 points has like 20 units. Not 20, it's like 8 or something. But each one is like 5 points more than the next one and has a very marginally better effect. And I feel like that's something that they're very good at doing here. It doesn't feel to me like the Hippogriff AFE like bridges that gap between something larger and a Scout Sentinel, but maybe that's something that they can sort of focus in on. I don't know. In any case, where's the Centaur? That's the other one we talk about. Centaur RSV is 85. It is funny that for only 25 points more, chat. For only 25 points more, we could equip our Centaur with some sort of refractor field, like whatever the thing that gives it a 4+ invulnerable save is, and make it do tank shocks automatically, and give it a bunch of elite crew to make it Commissar Graves. But in fairness, I do think that this is the Centaur is like very easy to kill. It's extremely light, but this does feel pointed appropriately for it not to get crazy, right? It's like the effect you get out of that vehicle is wild, because it's just such a delivery system for ranged attacks, but being more expensive than a lot of other dedicated transports in the game, I think is very reasonable for it. It does pay for being so just wildly utilitarian, I suppose. Anyway, chat. Pretty good stuff. That is points values. Let's talk about new things. I think what I probably want to do is go through a little bit more quickly the stuff that we've already talked about from preview articles, because what I don't want to do is like end out with the stuff that we've seen already. I think I would like to see the new stuff get discussed. So Astra Militarum, I won't talk about the data sheets because we've already talked about them at length. You can go watch my videos on those or my live streams on those if you want to hear me talk about those in specific. Let's talk about some detachments. Astra Militarum. This is Steel Hammer. The PDF is really slow, but here we are, Steel Hammer. This is the one where you have Titanic stuff. So this is the one that lets you, and I missed this, I think, in my initial reading of the ability. It allows your squadron units to fire their AoE weapons into melee as well. So that's like good for Lehman Russ battle tanks and stuff, I guess. It also gives you the excluding engagement range hit penalty when you shoot into your own melee, which is nice, right? It makes everything a demolisher. I was sort of discussing this as if it only applied to Titanic units, but it does apply to your Lehman Russens and stuff as well. If that's going to be worthwhile, I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. You get up to 2 Titanic units from your army, or excuse me, not 2. It's just 1 or more. So you just get up to as many as you want. Titanic units from your army that can be characters, so they can be enhanced. One of those enhancements is Battalion Commander, which gives you officer keyword on a Titanic unit. It can order Militarum, Titanic, and squadron units. Fucking sick. You take that one every time. Hell yeah. Titan Killer. Rerolls damage rolls. Kind of neat, I guess. Engine Speaker. Oh, shit. Goes on an Engine Seer only. And gives +3 movement to a vehicle model when it uses its Omniscience Blessing. So that is heal D3 and a 4+ invulnerable save. Then also applies +3 move. And then you can stack that with move. So we can be +6 to our movement characteristic. And if we go to like a Baneblade, that puts them to 18-inch movement. Oh boy, chits. That's pretty good. Move 18, Baneblade? Okay. All right. That also works on, that works on everything, but it does require that you pre-place your engine seer if you want to use this ability more than one time. Because it's only a 3-inch range ability to begin with, so you need to like send a unit and then reposition and be able, or place another unit into range and then use it the next turn. So it's not quite as easy as just like applying additional instances of boom boom move, but it is extremely powerful because it can stack. That's great. That's a good enhancement. Can confirm. Pretty good. And then Assault Hatches allows you to assault transport or assault ramp the units that you disembark from from a Stormlord specifically. Stratagems. Engine of Wrath is the funny one we talked about. It makes you good at melee. You become 12 attacks, strength 8 AP 2, but only 1 damage, so it is what it is. This is like a silly stratagem, but generally speaking, not going to be that useful outside of very specific instances. Imposing Arrival, used in the reinforcement step of your movement from the second battle round onwards. An Astra Militarum Titanic unit from your army that is in reserves can set up on the battlefield wholly within 8 inches of a battlefield edge and more than 6 inches away from enemy units. Holy shit. Holy shit, chat. That is like a perennial issue with these big units, is that you can't strategic reserve them, right? It's a problem for Defilers. It's obviously a problem for these Titanic units. Being able to strategic reserve giant gun platforms is one of the strongest things you can do in 40k. Being able to do that in a way that for just 1 CP that also lets you 6-inch drop them is crazy. That's incredibly strong. I love that. Adamantine Behemoth allows you in your movement or charge phase to move through terrain features. I love that too. That probably wouldn't work so well if it wasn't for this ability. Because you still like Bane Blades are like 9 inches long. They're like this big. You still have to fit your model on the other side of that terrain feature. And so having an engine seer who can make it more easy for you, or make it easier for you to do that by increasing your movement characteristic is enormous. So once you move that tank, you can get it to the other side of like a wall. Like if you are, for example, I think on the opposite side of a 6-inch ruin that has a wall at the front, with an 18-inch move, you should have a couple of inches of movement to spare to go from the back end of that ruin all the way past the front end for 1 command point. And then, here's the fun thing, if we have the points for it, we could Imposing Arrival our battalion commander and then order that guy and replace what he's doing with the other thing, take aim. Because, importantly, we don't have any way to naturally out of phase order. We have to do it via strategic reserves. Or transports, I guess, but I don't think anything transports like Lord Solar Leontis, which is who you want. I guess you could transport Yarick. I guess that's what you can do, right? Oh, no, does Yarick work? Let's look at it, because I don't know if he orders Titanic. I know he orders Squadron, but I don't think he orders Titanic. What does he order? Yarick, save me. Oh, no, he can't order Titanic. Whew. Saved. All right. So we could do it with Yarick. We could, disembark Yarick from a transport and then order the big vehicles. That's pretty cool. Although when you do that, you don't get his ability, so his, pulse order ability. So it is what it is. Shattering Salvo strips cover from something when the Astra Militarum unit has shot. You select 1 or more enemy unit hit by 1 or more of the attacks to the end of the phase. The enemy unit cannot have the benefit of cover. This one feels very it feels very conceptually funny because you're shooting them with a fucking, I don't know, storm sword, and then the expectation is that they live. However, because these vehicles have so many weapon systems on them, they usually have 5 heavy bolters and 4 las cannons and a demolisher cannon and a top gun, and I think also stubber. You can just flip one of those guns. I guess the demo cannon is only for Bane Blades, but you get what I'm saying. They have 1 million guns. You can flip one of those guns to a second target to strip cover from it. And that's especially good because the Bane Blade chassis itself, the classic Bane Blade chassis, does struggle quite a bit with punching through with punching through enemies in cover because its base ballistic skill characteristics are incredibly low. Or excuse me, arm penetration characteristics are incredibly low. And honestly, also in fairness, to go into 11th edition, its ballistic skill characteristics are as well. But its ranged weapons tends to be like AP1 or AP2, which means that like an enemy in cover is 90% saving on 3s or 4s, which it makes you like really inconsistent. Being able to take one of your guys, like this one with the siege cannon. The fuck is the name of that one? I played it a bunch of them the other day. Is it the Hellhammer? Is that right? Yeah. No, this gun sucks. Just kidding. I can't remember. There is like an AP3 ignore cover gun on one of them. Bane sword. That's the one. There you go. That one's good. That one's pretty good. D6 plus 6 blast, ignore cover, and then you take one of its heavy bolters and you shoot it into another unit, and then your Bane blade goes and shoots into the second unit and you kill both of them. That's like the intended use case, which seems okay. I don't know. To be honest, I'm into it. Withering firepower. After a vehicle unit has shot, you target the extra-military vehicle. You select one of the enemy units hit by one or more of its attacks. They must take a battle shock test at -1. All right, whatever. Sure, man. You do you, fam. Doing it during your own shooting phase is wild. That is not a particularly strong ability. There's not a strong timing for that effect. If you could use it in your opponent's shooting phase or after Overwatch or something, maybe. But yeah, whatever. Although you can't Overwatch on the Titanic stuff, I guess you can use it on the smaller vehicles, but it is what it is. Yeah. That's like a 1 in 20 games. It's gonna be good, but not very solid. Accuracy under pressure. A military unit to shoot that is not is selected to shoot that has not been selected to shoot this phase until the end of the phase. Each time it makes an attack, you can roll the hit roll. Phenomenal. It is 2 command points, but getting hit rerolls on the big units is awesome. It does feel here that you only have 4 stratagems to play with, which is unfortunate. So like Engine of Wrath and Withering Firepower are basically like kind of nothing burgers, they're like extremely limited use case stratagems. It feels to me, I mean, I'm glad we have an accuracy improvement and an ignore cover strat. It is unfortunate that they both require a little bit of setup or R2 CP, which is tough. It feels to me like we could have used a like 2 CP Titanic unit gets -1 damage, or like 1 CP vehicle unit gets -1 AP, like targeting it or something. That's what it feels like this detachment's missing in order for these things to survive long enough. Because it does seem like, I think in a lot of cases, our enemies will have the capacity to kill Bane Blades, right? They're not literally invincible. Their wounds count isn't high enough for that. So, I don't know. They do get invulnerable saves from Engine Seers, so it's not like they're going to be, dying instantaneously. You could smoke scream them, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they have smoke keyword. But, they are, you do have to brawl with them, and if the focus of the detachment is like playing 3 big Bane Blades, that's like 1,300 points of your army. So you do need to get some value out of them. So I don't know. I like this detachment conceptually. I do think it's much better than we gave it credit for. Now seeing all the stratagems, because having a bunch of maneuverability improvements for these big vehicles is huge. However, I do think that it probably misses a little bit. I don't think that this is a unit archetype that could, speaking competitively, survive if its detachment doesn't give it its full support. So, having 2 dead stratagems that could have been reactive effects that make you harder to kill is, I think, a killer for it. Although, if I saw somebody playing it, I wouldn't be like, what a goober. I would be like, those Bane Blades are going to be kind of fast. And I have to keep that in mind. So watch out. That would be it, chat. I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's kind of neat. You can disembark after a strategic reserve. Yeah, but the imposing arrival does have some like weirdness with arriving from reserve, because if I remember correctly, the strategic reserves models that disembark from a transport coming out of strategic reserve are always 9-inch like have a 9-inch area denial from enemies or a 9-inch denial zone. So the vehicle can come in closer, but the infantry that it disembarks have to come in farther away. So I don't know if it's that useful, to be honest. Anyway, pretty neat. Let's move over to Armored Infantry, the one that we were looking at that seems pretty cool. Here we go. This is the Transport Detachment for Astra Militarum. This is the one that gives you an order that gives an armored skirmisher unit which is any squadron, non-artillery with less than 13 wounds. They get the armored skirmisher keyword, and they can get then an order that gives them a D6 reactive move when something comes within 9. Like, I don't know. If this was a detachment ability, I think it would be like, oh, interesting. That's pretty wild. But because it requires an order, it feels very underpowered. But we'll see. We have seen that a lot of the stratagems look very good, so maybe that's fine. Enhancements. Exemplary Officer. Each time a bearer issues an order to its own unit, you can select up to 2 platoon units within 3 inches of the bearer's unit. This is an infantry officer only. That order is also issued to each of those. So that feels like when you like rock up a, I don't know, a guy embedded in a Counter-Stricken squad or like a Militarum Tempestus, like a Tempestus Silence squad, you can pulse out orders when he arrives. It's pretty cool. It helps you get, if you're disembarking multiple units out of a transport, it helps you get a lot of use out of those orders. And it does occur each time you issue an order to your own unit. So it, if you are like a multiple order character, being able to pulse all of those effects is going to be kind of big. So you can imagine like we disembark in Arcadian Castle and gives us like first rank fire, second rank fire, and take aim. And then you get first rank fire, second rank fire on everyone else, or at least up to 2 things that are next to you as well. But the 3-inch band, the 3-inch range requirement is tough. It is of the bearer's unit, so you can string it a little bit, but it's not the easiest thing in the world, I think, to work out. I think that's probably not too bad. Any order pulsing mechanic is probably not terrible, especially ones that you can use out of phase, because it gives you more access to doing things like going move, running the unit up, and then disembarking an officer, from the transport, and then chaining into like a take a cover or a take aim or something. So I don't know. I bet that's pretty okay. Master Maneuverist. At the end of the opponent's fight phase, if the bearer's unit is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, and every model is within 3 of a transport, it can embark within that transport. This would be a great stratagem, but it's a little bit tougher to use on a character. I think what you want is this on like a Tempestus command squad that's like running around in a Torox Prime or something. Feels to me like what the ideal, but your opponent is then very incentivized to kill either the unit or the Torox. So I don't know. I guess if you're like playing the build where you take the Primaris Psyker to give you an invuln save and you try to live, maybe it's fine. I don't know though. If you have like the command squad dual attached with the Psyker, and then you can blast people and then try to live because you have an invuln save, and if you live with a couple guys, you can hop back in the transport and do it again. But there's also just a rapid embarkation strat here, right? Oh, no. There is one for orcs. This one I don't think has one. So just kidding. That one's a little bit tougher. Grand Strategist is back. Up to 3 units. Or up to 2 units with regiment or squadron. Can be redeployed. Okay. I mean, that's fine, I guess. Omniscient Unguents. Armored skirmisher units within 3 inches of the bearer. Again, 5 blows feel no pain. That's honestly, like you have to take a tech priest for that. That one's a little bit tough, I guess. It works if you're taking multiple Hippogriff AFEs in one unit, because you can chain them. In other circumstances, I think it might be tough because the aura is so small. I understand that making it 6 inches probably might have been too strong, but I guess it like makes your chimeras tougher on turn 1, so it's probably worth taking anyway. Because like if you can just deploy chimeras on the line with scouts in them or something, and then just keep them within 3 inches of this dude, this random goober who's there, then your opponent might have a tough time actually removing those 2 units at the beginning, and then you can sort of chain units into it later on in the game. The range is very limited, but I can see it being helpful. Order the let's go to stratagems for the detachment. Order the advance. You can choose one Astra Militarum unit from your officer unit from your army, and add 1 or more friendly Astra Militarum units within 6 inches of that unit until the end of the phase. You can roll advance rolls made for those units. One of the sort of keys here, I think, is that you do have access to advance and shoot from armored skirmishers. The Hippogriff AFV is also can advance and shoot all the time because all of its weapons have assault. So there's definitely like this sub theme of units being able to advance. So this stratagem is probably not terrible. It is used only at the start of your movement phase, though. Some effects, especially like charging ones like this, can be like there are weird like sequence breaks where they work in the middle of the resolution of a charge, and so you can like re-roll them actively. This one requires that you pre-declare at the start of the phase, which makes it a little bit tougher. But if it's like a go turn, you have a bunch of Toroxes running out there. 1 CP, re-roll all your advanced rolls, probably not too bad. I would say, I guess it's a little tough, but it is what it is. Burst of speed, end of your movement phase. An Astra Militarum army, a unit from your army that did not remain stationary or arrive from reserves this phase can make a normal move of up to D6. Whoa. That's cool. That's an interesting effect. So that lets you basically double advance if you need to, or I mean, it's just a normal move, so you can do anything that you would do off of normal moves. So, for example, like, it'd bark into transports, right? You know, I think most of the time you're double advancing, or you are going to get the effect of advancing without actually advancing, right? You get the extra D6 movement, but you don't have to advance. So if you don't have an effect that lets you shoot, for example, then you're still good. So, like, you can imagine like a Rogaldorn, for example. It can like move 13, move itself an additional D6. Then you can find a out of phase order and like flip its guns around. You could also have an armored skirmisher unit if you pay all the command points. I guess this doesn't work in 11th edition because you don't have stratagem stacking. But you could advance it, D6, then double move it. This also lets you do actions and stuff afterwards, because it's not an advance. So this stratagem seems great. Honestly, really good. Importantly, it doesn't like synergize with the reroll advance rolls here because it's not actually an advance roll, it's just a D6 movement. So like, I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of use cases for that. Being able to move an additional time and go do a stratagem is like kind of sick. I'm glad that it doesn't work if you didn't remain stationary, though, because so then you can't be like get +1 for heavy weapons and then move yourself. Yeah, this one seems great. I like it. I'm in, chat. Supporting ordnance. When an armored skirmisher unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase, each time it makes an attack that targets a visible monster or vehicle unit, reroll the hit roll. Good strat. Situational reroll hits, solid. It does feel like it's going to be a lot of the force multiplication on any of these stratagems is going to be a lot of like Centaur RSV play, right? Because getting like 5+ ballistic skill, las cannons to get hit rerolls is kind of a big deal. Brian Scanlon, thank you for the channel membership. Appreciate you, bud. I think that's going to be very helpful. Obviously, you can improve its ballistic skill with take aim, but you're still then hitting on 4s, and you're hoping for the best that it hits on 4s. But if the idea is that we're shooting like 6 lascans out of the top of a vehicle, being able to, first of all, do a bunch of stuff that makes it faster, and then second of all, give them hit rerolls, I think could be sweet. This is also obviously shooting phase rather than movement phase. Combined fire is the one we talked about, where you get +2 strength. You have an armored skirmish unit, shoot an enemy unit to mark them as a target, and then your other armored skirmishers all get +2 strength against them. I think very helpful. Opening salvo is the last one. When you disembark a transport and you have not been selected to shoot, add 1 to the wound roll. So I think if we were to be looking at this with a critical eye, this does feel to me like it might be, honestly, both of these, like they might be examples of detachments that could slot in with a second detachment. This one feels incredibly strong, but you are almost, not quite, but almost playing without a detachment ability. The detachment ability is like so narrow of a use case. I mean, I guess it lets your officers issue orders to squadron units. Like, I forget about that. So, like, maybe that's enough. But, like, having half your detachment ability be wrapped up by this, like, weird situational order that you're only going to issue a couple times per game doesn't feel that strong. In addition, it also has no reactive stratagems. Every stratagem is proactive, which means if we're looking at it from the perspective of new edition stuff, it's actually, like, when you have, for example, multiple stratagems that are targeting on something in a movement phase, it actually makes those stratagems worse because they cannot be used in conjunction with one another. So there's like a bunch of weird little downsides that would, I think, prevent you from playing this detachment over a more classic one if we were to be considering it in 10th edition. However, if we also, for example, had synergy with like Steel Hammer and allowed a lot of our transport synergies to work off of a Storm Lord or whatever, not saying that that's particularly like the best example in the world. I don't know if that's the most competitive thing, but it would make a lot more sense. So assuming that we don't see any changes fundamentally to how the detachments work, this does feel to me like it might be an example of how a 2-cost or a 1-cost stratagem might, or a detachment might end up working, where it gives you like a lot of these little situational effects that can be used on a very narrow like line of units. And so you can, if this was the only effect you got for your whole army, you would be like, I mean, it's fine, I guess. But if this could stack with other stuff, you know, for example, we could stack it alongside getting access to, you know, other order generators or buffs for different unit types rather than just 13 wound or fewer vehicle units. I think you would be pretty happy about this, to be honest. That said, it doesn't feel like unplayable. It just feels kind of janky. A lot of the ranges being so limited, right? 3 inches of a unit when you issue an order, 3 inches of a vehicle gives them a field of pain. That does make it feel a little bit tougher to use than I think it would normally want to, probably. So I don't know. Anyway, chat. Don't think it works. Rules is written because you can't normal move twice per phase. I think that is true, actually, right? I guess so. It would require that you use it on a unit that advances. I feel like that is, yeah. That probably requires an errata. I don't disagree, chat. But there's nothing that says you can't advance multiple times, right? I guess we could look at the commentary. That is a funny oversight. Repositioned units, moving over terrain features, moving over models, blah, 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 blah. Eligible to shoot. You're eligible to shoot unless you advanced. Good stuff. Can a transport use a firing deck ability in a turn in which to shoot with a weapon equipped by a model that fell back this turn? Can you use firing deck to shoot with a weapon equipped by a model that advances turn if the weapon does not have assault? Yes, okay. We did have that open question about whether or not a transport advancing and gaining assault also allowed it to choose non-assault weapons, and I don't know if that's answered in here. Yeah, I don't think there's a restriction on advancing. So this is explicitly, at least in terms of the current rules of the game, it is explicitly an advance again strat because of this effect, or a fallback again, right? You can use it after you fall back, which is also interesting. But that is good to call out, actually, that you can't move and then move a second time. You have to be advancing to use it. Currently. Who knows if that'll change in the future. So I appreciate that. Good clarification. I forgot that they had changed that for normal moves once per phase to stop you from reactive moving multiple times. That is really funny, though, that it affects this thing, too. They almost certainly did not think about that. That's so true. That's so true. All right, chats. I think that is all we have to talk about for Astra Militarum. Now, I think what I'm going to do before we move on is I'm going to get in touch with one of our scheduled games. Because we did have a game scheduled in a little while, and I am almost certainly gonna overrun that start time. So I'm just gonna message the players real quick. What I'll probably ask them to do is get started, and then we'll hop into that game after the live stream here whenever we're done. So I appreciate the patience, chat. Give me a sec. I just don't want them to be like waiting on me if I'm still live streaming here. But obviously, I want to go through all of the new Space Marine detachments, so we are not going to end this stream early. Cool. Sounds good, Chance. Let's hop in and talk about, I'm going to talk about orcs first, because we did take a quick peek at their detachment, so we know what's going on with them. So Speedwaaagh and Blitz Brigade are the new ones, and Speedwaaagh, at least during the preview, looked insane, so we'll see. Oh, there's a designer's note on Turbo Boost. I love it, Chant. I love designer's notes. Thank you. Thank you for elucidating how you would like us to play move in a straight line. Turbo Boosta. Each time a speed freak or truck unit from your army, excluding aircraft, advances, it can use its turbo. If it does, do not make an advance roll for it. Instead, to the end of the phase, models in the unit have a move characteristic of 24, but can only move in one straight line until the end of the turn. Ranged weapons equipped by those models have assault, which I think is the most important part of the ability, right? We can turbo boost to gain assault at any time. However, it may just fuck up where we want to move. Designer's note. When a unit uses its turbo, models in that unit cannot pivot. Good to note. They cannot make a move of 2 or more straight lines. The idea there is that you cannot segment the line that you're using. You also cannot declare a charge, even if another rule would let you declare a charge in a turn in which you advanced. Because this is, it does not, it's not letting you override. It's imposing a second restriction to advancing. So like the WOG says, the normal WOG ability says, you can declare a charge even though you advanced. And this one says, well, you still can't though, because you didn't advance, you turbo boosted. So let's go. We love it. Custom shock box is the first enhancement. Each time the bear uses its turbo, it can move horizontally through terrain features. We talked about that one. It's Def Kill War Strike only, so it's useful for just like utility purposes. You know, because we can turbo boost to go directly straight forward through stuff. As long as there's no models in the way, we could potentially set up a situation where it can move 24 to go do maneuver secondaries and stuff. I don't know, it's not the craziest thing ever, but I think it is helpful. Important to note that it can't do that if it's doing a normal advance, only when it's turbo boosting, which restricts it from charging. Daka Mech is useful on a mech model only. Each time the bear uses its Mechaniac ability, until the start of your next command phase, ranged weapons equipped by the vehicle have rapid fire 1. I assume this applies to embarked units as well. And I guess I don't know necessarily like what the craziest use case of that is, but I'm sure that there's one. I'm sure there's something good in there. That also gives him +1 to hit on all attacks, including melee attacks as well. The other thing too about any mech enhancements is that they're automatically going to be stronger than an equivalent enhancement in Militarum or Space Marines, for example, and for an Imperium faction, because for whatever reason, Orc mechs are more efficient and can use their abilities at the end of the movement phase rather than at the during the command phase. So they can just chase after a vehicle that's moving in order to apply these effects, which is a significantly better timing than the Marine one. So anyway, I think, any of these are probably going to be pretty cool. I'm sure that there's like a real crazy thing we can do with this, but I don't know off the top of the head what it is for sure. Yeah, going over terrain for flying units, at least in the current wording of the rules. There's like a rumor that flying might change to like get a movement characteristic debuff to go over terrain. I don't think that's been specified. So I would not expect the core rules to change in 11th, but currently you move at an angle, then you move forward, then you move down when you're flying over terrain features. So you cannot go over terrain. Yeah. Stompa. Hell yeah. But the problem with the Stompa is like a lot of its weapons are like shoot 1 billion times, do pretty reasonable damage on all of them. And so you're like, well, okay, I guess that's fine. What you want to be doing is like giving it to a truck full of tank bustas, I think, or something like that. Although the tank bustas don't get their tank busta ability when they're +1 to hit and wound against vehicles when they shoot out of a vehicle, so they're really not very good at shooting out of vehicles. I don't know. Maybe it is a Stompa. Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess could it be like artillery? You can give it to like an artillery unit to give its like bubble chuck an extra shot or something. I don't know. Probably not. It feels very limited. I don't know what the best use case is. That's probably why it's fine. It's also important to note too that mechs, and I think most of these vehicle buff affect models, not units. So when you're talking about like, oh, what if you give it to a Def Cup unit? That would be crazy. Like each guy shoots an extra rocket shot. That's insane. No. It's one guy. You get 1 extra rocket shot, which is going to be the case for most of these vehicles. So I'm not 100% sure. -2 movement for going over terrain is very trust me, bro. Yeah, for sure. That does feel like a little bit of like my dad works at Nintendo energy, definitely. I wouldn't be shocked to see it because like traditionally flying the flying keyword has been incredibly strong in Warhammer 40k, just absolutely phenomenally powerful. So I would not be surprised to see them add a massive improvement for flying units to 11th edition. But I do think that they are treating flying with a lot more respect than they have in the past, because in previous editions, you have either flown or you didn't see play, and that's not really like it's like such a parasitic design. It's not very good. If you didn't have fly keyword, you just weren't playable because you couldn't go over most terrain. And everything was balanced around flying units, so everyone only took flying units. It was not good. So I much prefer how it works now, even if it makes the fly keyword feel, in some cases, not very strong. Although being able to move over intervening models is actually unironically very strong. I think it's much better than people give it credit for. Anyway, Super Bernie Fuel. Def Kill Wartrike only. Change the attack characteristic of its Kill a Jet to 3d6 and its melee weapon to 3. What is the base profile of the Burna Jet? Let's pop that open here, chat. So the base ranged weapon is D6 shots, so it triples its ranged attack characteristic with the Kill a Jet. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not a melee or range. It's a modal ranged attack. Yeah, it doesn't. It's Snaggle is the only one in melee. Oh, interesting. Okay. So it goes to 3 shots. Melta, that's okay, I guess. 3d6 strength 5 is alright. But also, you only gain assault when you turbo boost this guy. And otherwise, you're just shooting 12 inches. Yeah, I think I'm not that into this, I think. It's, like, cute. Having a 3d6 shot flamer off a Def Killer Wartrike is actually, like, pretty sweet. But the downside is that for the utility of what the Def Killer Wartrike is, which is, like, typically sort of like this melee disruption piece, you're shooting the things you're about to charge, so I don't know. I guess he's, like, only 4 base melee attacks. So if we were in a situation where he wanted to push up into, like, a utility unit, being able to burn them first is good. It does feel like you might just take a bunch of Def Killer Wartrikes as independent utility options. They are only 80 points. Because, like, one of them can get the thing that lets him move through walls, and then one of them can get the thing that makes him, like, an infantry sweeper. He's also really good at Overwatch at that point, too. So maybe it's fine. Yeah. I don't know. Certainly interesting. If it's a points filler, if it's like 15 points or whatever, I might take it. But I have a sneaking suspicion they cost that one at like 25, and it would be a tough sell. But maybe it's much better than I give it credit for. Master Mechnologist is the last one. A big mech gets +1 ballistic skill. That's good. What? We have a base 4+ ballistic skill shock attack gun that has multiple ways to get bonuses to hit? Alright, well, I guess I hit on 3s than orc now. Incredible. That's very strong. I think you're going to probably take a shotgun attack gun in most cases anyway, so feels solid. Especially because you can put him into like a Luda unit and then special ammo him so he wins everything on 4s and then gets hit rerolls. You could also just put him in tank buses, I guess, and make him hit on 3s naturally, but I guess it depends on what you want to do. Downside is that you lose you lose in 11th edition the utility of being able to choose from game to game, which actually makes me sad. On to move. 1 command point, you can shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which you fell back or advance unless you turboed. Fucking holy shit. We are starting strong. Shoot and charge in a turn in which you fell back or advanced on anything in the army for a command point? Bro, what? Dude, those Defcopters are looking so good. Holy shit. Like if we take a peek at the Defcopter profile here. Also important to note that a lot of the stuff they do is multi-phased. So you can use stratagems in movement, shooting, and fight phase for them. This is basically just the effect out of Cult of Speed, but you have to pay a command point for it. However, the difference is that the stratagems here are crazy, whereas the stratagems in Cult of Speed are kind of okay. They're just whatever. So like a Defcopter unit being able to advance and fire all its rockets, and then you charge the melee of 6 melee attacks apiece, and you can buff them in both the range, the shooting, and the fight phase. If you have the command points for it, obviously. Hopefully those Gretchen get some work done, because otherwise you're going to be strapped for command points here. I don't know. But that's phenomenal. Good strat. Good strat. Helpful. That was like the one question we had, because it was like a lot of these stratagems are about doing significantly more damage than normal. is there a way to deliver these without wagging? And the answer is yes. You just use the stratagem for one command point. Mobile DACA Storm is the next one, usable on a Speed Freaks or Truck unit. Select an enemy unit hit by one of its attacks in the shooting phase, excluding attacks made by indirect fire. It also excludes them even if it can't see them. Why don't we just say select one enemy unit visible to that? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Until the end of the phase, each time a model in a Speed Freak or Truck unit from your army makes an attack that targets that unit, improve the strength by 2. I think, chat, that we can glean some insights from 11th edition. Because 11th edition is removing the ability to stack stratagems onto a unit. Once you are targeted by a stratagem, you cannot be targeted by another stratagem that phase. A lot of these stratagems seem to have effects that you apply to the enemy, not to yourself. So as long as you're not like improving the attack, the damage characteristic of like the unit itself, you target it after its shots, its guns, and then it debuffs the opponent, and then you get the benefits. So this lets you get around those targeting restrictions, which feels weird to do, to be fair. Where it's like, oh, I can actually improve my ability multiple times, or improve my effects, my output multiple times, because I can.
Ryong 6931 donated $2 through Super Chat. We can't have Rakatruk Swag Buggy being good.
The swag buggy's not allowed to be good. I agree. No swag buggy. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat again. Poor Squig Buggy. He's good in Speed Freaks in the video game, at least. You know, there's that. But yeah, it's weird because they're like, okay, guys, you can only stack one stratagem at a time. However, we could just give you a bunch of ways to stack stratagems that don't require targeting. So you still basically can do it. You're like, okay. Like, sure, I guess. Sounds good. The special ammo we talked about, you have anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4. It doesn't really work with +2 strength in most cases, obviously. Although a lot of cases, I think it is like worse. But it is good if you're activating independently. It also means that you work on units that are not necessarily Speed Freaks. As a bunch of people pointed out after my live stream yesterday, you can use this effect on devastating weapons. It doesn't have a non-devastating clause like you do in with the anti-infantry strat in Deathwatch, whatever it is. It just says non-torrent weapon for whatever reason. But I guess that's so like burners don't go crazy. Did it say non-torrent in the article? I don't remember that, but maybe I could have glossed over it. Because we did talk about how Burn Up Boys might be good. That's interesting. That said, being able to use this on like I think Killicans have a devastating wound weapon, Knobs have a devastating wound weapon. Being able to use this on those might be okay. So yeah, I don't know. Worst case scenario, we can buff ourselves with this for likely to get +1 to wound, or in some cases we can get +2 to wound off of special ammo. This is definitely like a fire hose of close range damage though. From this detachment so far. Dead Killy Construction gives you Lance and +1 damage, assuming that you charged. The funny thing is that you only get Lance when you charge anyway, so it's like funny that both of them require charge, I guess. But we could just have said that we target a unit that charged. I don't really understand why I'm not 100% sure why there is you have the ability to use this stratagem on a unit in a point at which it literally cannot benefit from it, but it doesn't matter. Good strat for melee on any Speed Freak or Truck unit. Makes your War Bikers hit pretty hard. It makes Wazdaka Gutsmech hit like a fucking truck. Not a literal truck, like a figurative truck. The actual truck won't hit quite as hard as that. But also makes your Def Coptas hit pretty hard. Makes, yeah, I don't know, a bunch of stuff hit good. Dust Trails. After any unit has selected its target, an orc unit from your army can gain the benefit of cover. Fine. I guess it's like a very marginally worse go-to-ground, but you can use it on anything, so that seems fine. In the new edition, when that becomes -1 to be hit, and is hopefully a little bit more difficult to apply to vehicles, then it will be more interesting, I think. And evasive maneuver. You get an up-down for a speed freak or truck unit. That's really good. Do Def Cup is deep strike, chat? Yep. Oh, God. They do! Ah! So we can, like, top 1 deep strike Def Cop does, and then give them anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4, or +2 strength, and then blow people up. They're still got to roll 5s to hit, I guess. So hopefully they do. Because if they do, it's going to be a lot of damage. That's a great strat. Phenomenal. I like that it doesn't care about proximity to enemies. I like that it doesn't care about proximity to a table edge. You just go into reserve. We love it. Good strat. Interesting. I guess, like, Dust Trails is okay, right? It's like a defensive effect, but it's kind of a mediocre defensive effect. But otherwise, they just have, like, 5 absolutely baller strats. Kind of a weird detachment ability that I think you're not going to use quite as much as you think you will. And then 5 baller strats out of the 6. Makes it feel pretty good. Is it going to be as strong as, like, dropping a bunch of guys in Warhorde? I don't know. And I don't know if I'm willing to say that it is. Is it going to be at least competitive with a lot of other orc builds? Yes. It definitely feels like it will. And I think that there's, like, weird stuff to do with these, like, utility def killas, which I think is interesting, right? We can build, like, multiple def killa war trikes that all do slightly different and interesting things. And also we have Wazdaka Gutsmech, who is also, like, another sort of beatstick unit like that. So I don't know. I think there's a lot going on here. There's a lot to like in the Speedwaaagh. So I think I'm kind of into it. Would rather play Cult of Speed? I guess. I mean, Cult of Speed does give you, like, the maneuverability a little bit more consistently. But the damage here is like, super legit. Right? I don't think it's fair to discount the amount of damage that you're doing. Especially because that does traditionally tend to be, like, kind of a downside for orcs right now. Is that if you aren't pumping your damage super high, they do tend to be mediocre because their baseline stats are not very good. They need, like, a bunch of stacked buffs to get work done. And being able to do that here makes things pretty cool. Anyway, chat. Let's move to Blitz Brigade. Next one in the document. And so, chat. Oh, I see. Okay. My game got rescheduled again. Oh, boy. I might just call it on this one. Very frustrating. That's okay. Let's talk about Blitz Brigade. Before we go too far. Blitz Brigade. Detachment rule. You can reroll advanced charge rolls for orc units and disembark and transport that turd. Pretty cool. We talked about that one. We didn't talk about enhancements, though, because we didn't see them. Running boots. Each time you make a charge roll for the bearer's unit, if you disembark a transport, you add +1 to the result. That's good. Just an unironically good stratagem. Or a good enhancement. For, like, a war boss in a breakable unit or something like that. Just, like, naturally +1 to charge most of the time. Pretty solid. Or at least the turn where it matters, for sure. Blitz Captain. Character model from your army after both players have deployed their armies for the bearer's unit or any transport it is embarked within is on the battlefield. Select up to 3 orc units from your army and redeploy them. When doing so, you can put them in strategic reserve. That's a good effect. Just the redeployment is solid. Supercharged Squig Oil. Each time the bearer uses its Mechaniac ability, until the end of the turn, you can reroll charge rolls for the selected vehicle model's units. For mechs, as we talked about, like, mech-ethic effects for these things are going to be a little bit better than their Imperium equivalents. This is sort of a minor buff. So I don't know if you're that excited about it. That's fine, I guess. That if you had to pick 3, that might be the one that you cut. And an orc infantry character from your army for tough git. At the end of a phase in which you disembarked from a transport, if you're battle shocked, you are no longer battle shocked. So you can disembark from a destroyed transport and retain control of an objective. That's a very good effect to have, but the downside is that a lot of times what you want to be using it on is like your grot unit or something, like a utility unit that's inside the transport when the transport's destroyed that you can retain control of without having to expose them too hard. I don't know necessarily if you're going to have a character in units like that. So it's also unlikely that this effect procs more than 1 time per game. So like disembarking and being unbattle shocked when you disembark is like really strong, but this application for it is like kind of tough. Like, if it was, like, on a transport that you use when the transport's destroyed and it doesn't battle shock the unit inside, that would be incredibly strong. But this is, like, you have to basically pre-declare it so your opponent plays around it. I don't know. That's interesting. Hopefully that's not, like, wildly expensive, because it does feel like a good ability that you would take if it was, like, points failure. But again, if it's one of those enhancements that's, like, 25 points and you only get once per game, maybe. I don't know if I would take that. Maybe 10 points or something. And your opponent has to work around it. Mount up, lads, is the first stratagem. That's a end of fight phase embarkation. We talked about that one. It's very good. It works on both you and your opponent's turn. It doesn't care about whether you fought, which is phenomenal. The tough part is that they released a bunch of different versions of this strat, and this is the best version, or one of the best versions, I should say, I guess. Which is I don't know. It's just weird that they keep re-releasing it, but making it slightly different. Mechanized Brutality is the next one. You could use it on a battle wagon, kill rig, or hunter rig until the end of the turn. Each time you disembark, each time a unit disembarks from that unit, after you make a normal move, the disembarked unit can still charge. And because it disembarked in transport, it's going to get charge rerolls. And if you have the enhancement, you might get +1 to the charge roll. That's a phenomenal strat. That's really good. No notes. I think that's solid. Run them down. Yeah, you basically get to assault ramp any of your big vehicles. Like a hunter rig can fit 21 beast snaggers in it, and being able to assault ramp those guys is wild. Run them down is usable on a battle wagon, kill rig, or hunter rig that has not been selected to move. You select 2 other friendly orc vehicle or orc monster units within 6 inches of your unit until the end of the turn. Your unit and each unit you selected are eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which they advanced. Select up to 2 friendly orc vehicle or monster units within 6 inches of a battle wagon. Your unit, so the battle wagon, kill rig, or hunter rig, and the 2 other orc vehicle or monster units can advance in charge. This feels like, is this just the kill rig detachment, chat? This feels like a sequence of powerful effects for kill rigs, right? We'll see. Concerned that every detachment people consider 1 point is going to be 2. I would assume that any of these like very focused detachments are 2 points. I imagine that the 1-pointers are like, I think it does feel like it would be incredibly strong if you were able to apply like this and something else, right? Because this feels okay, but I don't know necessarily if like this or Speedwaaagh or whatever is going to be like useful independently. However, if you applied it on top of an already existent, like reasonably strong, even like a B tier detachment, it feels like all of the effects put together might be crazy. So I imagine that like 1-point detachments look very different than what we would expect to see for sure. Honestly, that's why I don't know if necessarily like the prognostication is super helpful, because there's so many open questions about what these new detachments look like that it doesn't feel to me like it's worth really considering like oh, this is probably going to be an X-point detachment or whatever, because we just don't know. I do like the idea that it could be what a lower cost detachment looks like, but how expensive it is and what you can combine it with, who fucking knows, man. I would almost expect 1-point detachments to have like a more limited number of stratagems and enhancements, to be honest. Adding together 12 stratagems is a lot. Armored duelists. Orc vehicle from your unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot. Till the end of the phase, each time your unit makes an attack that targets a monster or vehicle, add 1 to the hit roll and 1 to the wound roll. Okay, that's really good. Jesus. That works on any vehicle, and it works on open-topped, and it works on your embarked weapons. So it just gives you the tank bust ability. So, like, let's say, for example, hypothetical chat, that if we Mechaniac a transport, that gives +1 to hit, right? It doesn't improve weapon skill. So you can't stack those. Oh, but it works if you get through cover in 11th edition. Just kidding. We're back. So like an orc mech gives +1 to hit. So you can be +2 to hit, which is relevant if in the cases in which you're you are have a -1 effect, like the new cover rules. But you could put like 3 shock attack guns into one of these transports and then give them all +1 to hit and wound. Blam! And potentially +2 to hit. Blam! Blam, blam, blam. Good thing this isn't the detachment that gives you rapid fire as well. That's kind of sick. Also, it works on big stuff. So it works on like the big walkers too. Because it doesn't care about what your keywords are. It doesn't care that you're a battle wagon or whatever. It just cares that you're a vehicle. So getting +1 to hit, +1 to wound on like a Morkanaut or whatever is gonna be sick. This stratagem rules. That's awesome. Impervious is just the transhuman physiology effects that we get out of that other detachment, whatever the fuck it's called. Blade of Ultramar, excuse me, chat. I forgot for a moment there. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets a battle wagon, kill rig, or hunter rig, if the strength characteristic is greater than toughness. I guess it's worse than the Space Marine one, because of course it is. It's greater than, not greater than, or equal to. Then they get -1 to be wounded. It's fine. Kill rigs are like kind of mid toughness, so getting -1 to wound on them actually goes for a long way because they're only toughness 10, I believe. It is a little bit more difficult to get the -1 to wound effect off of like a battle wagon that's toughness 12. But getting it off of the toughness 10 kill rigs is going to be very relevant for most anti-vehicle weapons. Like most anti-vehicle weapons are strength, I guess 11 plus. Strength 10 stuff gets around it, which is awkward, but get wrecked. Kill rig, I guess you die to Riptides. But in any case, this does feel quite a bit like the kill rig detachment. Use in trouble now is the other one. That's the surge move. When your big vehicles are shot, you can disembark an orc infantry unit from inside them and surge potentially up to D6 inches plus your disembark range to get into engagement range with the closest enemy unit. Good stratagem. This detachment feels pretty good, honestly, chat. I don't know if I have too much else to say. That feels solid. So reactive re-embarkation is good. Pretty not insignificant range damage buff is good. Survivability increases, especially for the T10 vehicles, is pretty solid. The downside is it doesn't work on trucks and stuff, which is unfortunate. It's a little bit weird that a lot of these stratagems, and I understand why they would want to restrict the use of like the more aggressive stratagems, like being able to assault ramp off of trucks feels very abusive. At least if we are using the assault ramp strat, you have to commit one of the expensive vehicles or transports into the fight in order to make use of that. If you were able to just consistently trade trucks into people, I feel like this detachment would be incredibly strong. You would just run up a truck, pay a CP to put 10 orc boys on their objective, and then load the next one into the gun. Your opponent kills both of those units, and you pay SCP to do it again, and they never get their expansion objective for 4 turns of the game. And then you eventually beat them on primary. I do appreciate that it does require a not insignificant investment to actually make this work. But being able to get out of phase advance and charge, being able to get threat range increases on this stuff, being able to get survivability increases and range damage increases, in addition to some like weird reactive stuff, right? This stratagem's going to end a game at one point. Every once in a while, your opponent has to consistently play around it, because if they don't, they just become engaged in their own turn and they can't deal with it. I think this detachment actually kind of rules. It definitely doesn't have... It's not as flashy as Speedwaaagh, but it does feel, in some cases, more consistent, especially if you play one of those orc builds that focuses really heavily on, like, the beast snagga stuff, right? You're playing a bunch of kill rigs, you're playing hunter rigs, maybe you're playing, like, a big unit inside a battle wagon or something. You know, like a Gaskell unit being delivered by a battle wagon that can assault ramp him feels kind of wild, to be honest. So, I don't know, chat. I think, I'm going to say it now, I think this detachment's actually pretty good. I think it's probably better than we're giving you credit for. I guess part of the downside is that it does require that you put a lot of work in, like a lot of effort into like making, you know, you pay a lot of points for these big expensive transports, but it's not like you're upset that you had to take kill rigs. These things are like basically free. They're 150 points for an, you know, a Land Raider's worth of wounds. It's not a Land Raider defensive profile, but it's a bunch of wounds. It's a bunch of melee attacks. It shoots pretty good. You know? Is it Warhorde? No. Is it probably playable? Yes, I think so. If it is a thing where you get to take it alongside a different detachment, will it be good in 11th? Feels like to me it will. I think it's pretty cool. What's it chance to be a 1-point detachment? Champions of Fenris. At least Champions of Fenris does something nowadays. And it isn't just an absolute joke of a detachment that does literally nothing. Definitely not a good detachment, though, for sure. I have a suspicion, though, that the detachment costing will be more conceptual than it will be based on, what's the word? Then it'll be like based on balance. Then it'll be like sort of used as a balance fix, because I think what's going to happen is that what they're going to do is basically take the detachments that affect a more limited number of units and cost them lower, but the detachments that are army wide are I don't know. This isn't what I think they're going to do. This is what they've explicitly said they're going to do. The detachments that have a broader effect are going to be costed more highly. I doubt, at least at the beginning of the edition, that they cost detachments for balance. I think they're just going to go, you know, look at the keywords that detachment buffs and then assign a points value based on that. Which means that a detachment like Champions of Fenris, which gives you a shitty, terrible ability for your whole army, is probably going to be costed at the same points, detachment points value as something like a Gladius Task Force, simply because the breadth of datasheets that they affect is the same. So I don't know. Anyway, chance. Let's talk about Space Marines. It's Space Marine time. We'll start with this cool tank ace detachment, Headhunter Task Force. Which is kind of, I don't know. It's neat that we can get character vehicles back. I miss Sergeant Kronos. I think he was cool. And being able to apply effects, character effects to a vehicle was always neat. And it looks like that's back. So that's sweet. So, the Headhunter Task Force gives you auto 6 advances for any tank ace unit from your army. In addition, if you did not advance, you reroll damage rolls for tank ace units. Tank ace units are any Astartes vehicle excluding fortifications, drop pods, walkers, and flying units. So it doesn't affect storm speeders or aircraft, but what it does do is it affects all your little vehicles. I don't know if there's necessarily any like weird ones in there. I guess it means it affects fire strike servo turrets, right? They don't fly. Even though they have grab pads. I don't believe they fire. Is this the fire strike servo turret detachment? Maybe. They do not fly. We're good. It doesn't say excluding artillery either, so it works on whirlwinds, I guess. But I don't know. Fire strike servo turrets, you auto 6 your advance rolls, and you get rerolls on your little laser gun damage. Chat, we found it. Plus, we can give them enhancements. Let's go. Let's go, dude. Incredible. Best detachment ever. Enhancements. Redoubtable Machine Spirit. Bearer gains a 5+ invulnerable save at the end of your command phase. He regains 1 lost wound. Phenomenal. That's very good. Jesus. All right. Yeah. Immediately strong. Even if you're like a Land Raider and you get hit by a Melt-A-Gun that is ignore cover, you can be like, save on a 5, idiot. And then if you don't kill me, I regenerate slowly. That's awesome. You can also stack that regeneration with other instances of repair. So if you have like a Tech Marine, he can heal them. Gunnery honors. Once per phase, you can reroll 1 hit, 1 wounded, 1 damage roll for the bearer. Okay. It's and not or, so you get all of those together. You can have a Lancer that just full rerolls. It just full rerolls everything. It gets 2 hit, wounded, damage rolls. I don't know if that's necessarily where you're going to put it. You're probably going to put this on a Vindicator, I imagine. But extremely strong. Holy fuck. Firestorm Coordinators. Ranged weapons from your army get sustained hits. Oh, jeez. These enhancements rule. Sustain hits 1. Incredible. Astartes Tank Ace is an aura that gives all ranged weapons for vehicle units within 6. Importantly, not that this matters, but I guess it does a little bit. It does not necessarily need the other units to be tank aces, only itself. It provides an aura of assault. And when you combine that with everyone gets a 6-inch move, that feels really good. I wonder if there's a place where we take this in Blood Angels, chat. Because we get Ball Predators. And Ball Predators with auto 6 advances feels really good. Although you lose +1 to wound oath. So I think maybe I'm over it. That was a fleeting. That was very fleeting. But losing +1 to wound on your whole army is probably not as good as getting a cool tank that moves very quickly. I don't know. But anyway, ways to get assault for this army seem incredible because being able to auto 6 and then shoot your guns is cool. But I think worst case scenario, this just working on the vehicle itself is probably going to be solid, right? Because you're going to be able to like put it on 1 Vindicator or like 1, Redeemer or something. And being able to run that thing 18 inches or 15 inches or whatever the movement characteristic of the vehicle is going to be by itself is going to be good. Even irrespective of the fact that it gives other vehicles assault. It will get it itself. So it doesn't really matter. Armor of Contempt is the first stratagem. All right, well, fair enough, I guess. Target weak point is the second stratagem. It's reverse Armor of Contempt. You get +1 AP targeting monsters or vehicles. You cannot be targeted with this and Kill Shot in the same phase. Kill Shot gives you reroll wounds of 1 targeting monsters or vehicles. If the target is below starting strength, you reroll the wound roll instead. Oh my god, shits. You're so right. You're so right. The fucking Land Raider Redeemer with full wound rerolls is here. Jesus. That seems solid. Not gonna lie, seems pretty good. Rapid Gunnery lets you fall back and shoot. Can't fall back and charge, but you can fall back and shoot. Reactive Repositioning gives you a non-Land Raider tank ace. I guess non-Land Raider or Repulsor tankish. It's any unit that doesn't have a wound characteristic of 16 plus. Within 9 inches of the enemy unit, you make a d6 inch normal move. I guess that's fine. Reactive moves on vehicles are kind of weird because they only really work in the instances where you're like peeking barely over a terrain feature, and then you trigger the reactive and you push back. But if you roll a 1, because they're so hard to maneuver around intervening objects, that it's not super useful. Although it does feel like in a lot of cases this is going to be a very aggressive detachment where you're pushing like Vindicators into people. And so having a reactive move in those situations is probably helpful. And then Machine Vengeance. After an enemy unit has shot in your opponent's shooting phase, a tank ace unit from your army, excluding one with the wounds characteristic of 16 or more, that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks, you can shoot them. What? I was about to say, as we were going through these detachments, these abilities, I was like, is this like better than just playing Ironstorm Spearhead? Because like Ironstorm Spearhead, you get all the floating rerolls, right? It's like very consistent. Like this one obviously deals more damage. You have more like damage improvement effects, but like, is that fine? I don't know. 1 CP shoot back? I guess you can't use it on Land Raiders, but it's just a Vindicator strat, right? There's no penalty. It doesn't give you a -1 to hit. It doesn't do anything. How many times, like, do you lose a like Vindicator in one shot? I mean, it happens, but it doesn't happen that often. And how many times do you also do that in an instance where your opponent is not in a position for you to shoot them back? And 1 CP, I get a full Vindicator shooting activation? My brother in Christ. No wonder you cannot stack stratagems in 11th edition if these are the stratagems that are making. Like, obviously, in 10th edition, this feels incredible. Because what we're going to do is we're going to play Ultramarines. We're going to play a bunch of command point multiplication effects. So we have command points to fuel all of these. And then your opponent shoots at you. You, like, smoke AOC, live, and then kill them. Like, what? That's so insane. Like, smoke AOC, I didn't quite die. All right, here's a Vindicator shooting. Bloop. And that Vindicator might have floating rerolls of its own, because it may have gunnery honors. Also, no range requirement for this, too. Fucking wild, chat. I don't even know if this is, like, a detachment that's gonna see play. It is obviously less useful, from, like generally speaking, than, like a Gladius task force. You know, I can auto 6 advance my guys, but I have a very limited capacity to actually shoot them unless I naturally have assault somewhere. But you know, whereas like Gladius is like I could play the same stuff, or Blade of Ultramar, I could play the same stuff and just give assault to my whole army all game. But even in the case where you might not even play it competitively, this detachment's incredibly strong. What a wild stratagem to print. That's crazy. At least you can't shoot back with Land Raiders. At least we don't get to resolve repulsor executioner attacks in the opponent's turn. We've already spent multiple hours resolving them in our own turn. Don't force me to watch as you do it on my turn too. Insane. That's probably not even the best strategy. The best attachment here. Wild chat. Yeah, you want to try to flake a wound off me? Incredible! That's wild. Ironstorm vehicle has to be reduced below 50%. To shoot back. Yeah, for the machine spirit stratagem. But I was just saying in general, right? Yeah, so Ironstorm Spearhead has an equivalent effect, but it is strictly worse. But in general, I was saying that these two detachments are very similar. Ironstorm Spearhead has more consistent damage. However, it does feel that the stratagems in Headhunter are going to be stronger, right? Like this, like the damage improvement for Ironstorm Spearhead is a 2 command point situational sustain 1. Or it's sustained 1 for 2 command points, situational critical 5s, which is like, okay, I guess, right? if you do the combo with target augury web, like you can get some work done. But 2 command points is a lot. Versus these guys are just like, I don't know, I fucking reroll. Who cares? I reroll wounds. Let's go. The other stratagems are like kind of whatever, right? It's a lot of walker payoffs. But this being strictly worse is pretty wild. Ironstorm 2. If Ironstorm 1 was so good, chat, why don't we have Ironstorm 2? We do. All right. Armored Speartip is the last one. This is a transport detachment, I guess. Each time an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army disembarks from a transport, excluding aircraft, good note, that made a normal or advanced move this phase, the disembarked unit can make a normal move of up to d6 inches. Or a normal move of up to d3 plus 3 if the transport is instead a heavy transport, which is any non-aircraft that is a wound characteristic of 14 or higher. Does the 14 matter there? That's weird. It's a weird breakpoint. Maybe it does. Who knows? In any case, I can move after I disembark transports that already moved. So I guess like your land raiders go fucking insane because you basically you basically give them like 4 to 6 extra inches of threat range off of assault ramp, which is wild, right? Your threat range off assault ramp is no longer like 9 to 10 inches. It's like 16, which is, that's insane. Also, like close range shooting out of transports is crazy. This feels kind of like a sight unseen. I literally have not read any other part of this detachment chat. This feels kind of like Salamanders pilled, because if you have OC2 Infernus Marines that move when they disembark an impulsor that already moved, right? Their capacity to steal objectives from people is crazy. Plus, you get like a D3 plus 3 inch move out of Adrax Agatone when he disembarks your Land Raider. Fucking wild. All right. Fair enough, I guess. Liberator is the first enhancement. Astartes model only if you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase and your bearer's unit or any heavy transport it is embarked within is within range of an objective. That objective marker remains under your control until your opponent's LOC is greater than yours at the end of a phase. So it gives OBSEC to the unit and a Land Raider equivalent that they are within. That seems fine. Probably lets you save on Intercessor Squad early, I think. Tip of the Spear. If the bearer starts embarks within a transport, the transport has Scout 9. So, importantly, this is not the dedicated transport effect, right? You can give Scout to transports if they are, if all your scouts, if everyone embarked within it has scouts, a dedicated transport will also gain Scout. This just works on any transport keyworded unit. That's okay. So we can Scout 9, and it also doesn't care that the rest of the units have Scout. Right? So we can put this on a, I don't know, like a fucking combi lieutenant, and he goes into a transport, he goes into a Land Raider that's full of Terminators, and then the Land Raider scouts 9, moves 12s, disembark, the unit disembarking moves 6, then charges. So your threat range on turn 1 is 27 plus 2d6 for the charge move. Or I guess it's like 24 plus D3 plus 3 plus a 2d6 charge move. So you touch their deployment line. And then you move up to 18. What? And the unit that is charging doesn't even need to be the one with the enhancement. Okay. Sure. Shock deployment is the next one. A Star Terminator or Gravis model only. In your shooting phase, each time the bearer's unit is selected to shoot, if it disembarks and transport this turn until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models of the unit have sustained hits 1. So that's okay. You could do like kind of a weird Apothecary Biologus like Fire Discipline combo where you go sustained and lethal off of a Biologus when he disembarks. That's kind of cute. That's a cute stratagem. I like that. Armored Commander. Once per turn in your movement phase, the bearer can use the enhancement if it does select a transport that is in strategic reserve. Okay. If it does select a transport in strategic reserve till the end of the phase for the purposes of setting the transport up on the battlefield, treat the current battle route as being one higher than it actually is. At least we can, so we can turn 1 rapid, or turn 1, not rapid ingress, turn 1 strat reserve with these guys. Interesting. It's any transport, and we can turn 1. We can't ingress it, thank God, because it's only in your movement phase. But even so, being able to disembark a transport and then all the guys inside, turn 1's crazy. So, like, we could put a Land Raider literally in our opponent's deployment zone, and then also disembark a second one off of the side. Top of 1. Okay. Sounds good. Right? Or a Repulsor Executioner or whatever. And then because it's a move, we can disembark a unit out of the transport after its strategic reserve zone. So we could potentially like put 4 units in our opponent's deployment zone on turn 1, essentially. Cool. 2 transports, the embarked units in 2 transports, and then we're charging them. Interesting. Okay. Machine Wrath. After a heavy transport in your army is destroyed, you could use the stratagem on it. Your unit can make a normal or fallback move before you roll for its deadly demise. It's fucking ramshackle. Before any embarked units performing an emergency disembarkation, when making this move, your units can move through enemy models and can move within engagement range of such models, but cannot end any move within engagement range of them. It's also just a full move. Okay. Oh boy. So all those people, in fairness, this is only when you kill a Land Raider, which is like tough, right? But all those people who are excited, like, finally, guys, we've done it. Finally, I'm going to be able in 11th edition to charge a transport, and then I'm going to get the guys inside because we're going to use an overrun activation to kill them. This detachment's like, nah, man. I'm going to pay 1 CP. I'm going to put them 12 inches away from you, and then they're going to charge you instead. Sick. I love that for me. Also, there's going to be so many weird situations where this fucks with people. People are going to be like, all right, I've set up perfectly. I've contested your objectives, and now I'm going to kill your Land Raider. They kill the Land Raider, and the Land Raider goes, I moved 12 inches through your whole army, and then I put 10 OC on your home objective or something. And they're just like, fuck. God damn it. Now I'm fucked. Or like a random expansion objective or whatever. I don't know. I steal your objective. Armor of Contempt is back as a stratagem that every single detachment uses. I liked the time where Armor of Contempt was not in every single detachment, but I guess that time is over. Rapid Embarkation is used to enter the fight phase on a Astartes infantry unit from your army that is not within engagement range of 1 or more units. And 1 friendly heavy transport it is able to embark within. If your infantry unit is wholly within 6 inches of heavy transport, it embarks into it. Wait a minute. This is just the Firestorm strat, but better? It's even the same name. What the fuck? Why? Why did they do this, chat? And I'm not even... We can talk about the balance of this stratagem in a moment. But why the fuck did we print 2 identical stratagems with the same name, but one of them is has a bunch of fucking restrictions on it and the other one doesn't? Why do that? We already had this stratagem exactly in faction. Why did we feel the need to reprint it? If you are going to reprint a non-identical stratagem, at the very least change its fucking name. Are you kidding me? What? And if I may say, if that stratagem already exists in the game, like sans unit keywords, right? Which it essentially does. I guess it doesn't necessarily, because this one's looking for heavy transports, not just transports. So I guess there's like a little bit more work to be done. But you reuse it. Whatever, fuck it. But this should be called something different at the very least. In addition, it's also really strong. You can disembark a unit and then shoot and then re-embark back in. Because it doesn't say you can't, like the normal rapid embarkation does. The restriction on the original rapid embarkation says that you cannot embark if you disembark your transport this turn. This one doesn't say this. It just says you embark if you're not within engagement range. Oh boy. Oh boy, chat. Ceramite Sledgehammer. Usable in your movement phase till the end of the phase. Each time your unit makes a normal or advanced move, it can move horizontally through terrain features. In addition, if your unit is a heavy transport when making its move, you can move through enemy models, excluding monsters' vehicles, and you pass any desperate escape checks automatically. Oh boy. All right. So our transport can scout 9 to a wall and then move through the wall and then disembark our guys into the opponent's deployment zone. Sure. Sounds good. Advanced deployments. A transport unit from your army that has not been selected to move this phase in your movement phase. Until the end of the phase, units can disembark from your transport after it's advanced. Fair enough. There are no ways, at least it looks like to me, to let them advance and shoot. But you can do this on rhinos, I guess. I actually don't really know where this gets used. Is it regular repulsors? Is that the idea? Oh, wait. But you can charge if you have assault ramp. What? Oh my god. So our Land Raider could go even farther. Unfortunately, we can't use all of these stratagems in one turn, right? If we're doing it turn 1, we have a maximum of 2 command points. If we're playing Ultramarines and have command point generation. Or Dark Angels, I guess. So we could move through walls and then advance and drop the unit. But do you need to drop the unit if it's turn 1 and your Land Raider is moving 21 inches? Do we need to advance and then declare a charge? It feels like we don't have to. I think that's fine. Otherwise, Impulsors already do this. So it feels like this is a repulsor strat. Because repulsors, you don't really care about their range output. Or Razorbacks or like rhinos, I guess. But like, who the fuck are we taking rhinos with? I don't know. These days, in this economy, we're taking a rhino? Probably not. Purgation Doctrine is the last one. Usable in your shooting phase on an Astartes unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot. Each time a model makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. If you disembark to heavy transport, add 1 to the wound roll. Oh, chat. So we can turn 1, come out of reserve with a repulsor. Boom! Immediately drop out, run in a Gravis Captain or an Apothecary Biologus with sustained hits 1 and 6 fucking Eradicators. They get +1 to hit and wound, full hit rerolls against against monsters and vehicles, and then they may move closer so that they can get into close range, blast at you with their massive amounts of DACA, and then if for whatever reason they didn't have to move any closer than that, I'm not crazy, right? It's that when you disembark a transport that arrived from reserve, you do get this movement, right? Because the transport counts as having made a normal move. So you get to disembark. Fuck me, chat. You get to disembark a unit. Then move D3 +3 forward So you get to within melter range. So you're like 3 inches away from them, and then you shoot them. And if you didn't get outside 6 inches, you can just go back in the transport at the end. And you can do all that with +1 to hit and wound, assuming that you have all of the resources to do all of that. You get to move after the Korean strat as well. Oh, because you make a normal move? And this isn't restricted to your movement phase? You're so right. That's so true. What the fuck? Okay. I mean, here's the thing, chat. I'm a devil's advocate for a sec. Here, bear with me. Bear with me, folks. A lot of this stuff is like land raiders, right? So like, is it gonna be like the land raiders in the detachment are gonna be fucking crazy? Like, actually, that's not even true. The units that the land raiders are disembarking are gonna be fucking crazy, but the land raiders themselves are just normal, right? They're just really fast. And you really like, how often can you fit more than 3 of these units into into an army before like they just start getting in each other's way? So I'm cautiously optimistic. This is fucking nuts. Don't get me wrong. I think when from like an off-table perspective, the number of stacked effects that you could apply that do insane things, like turn 1 scout 9-inch plus move and disembark and charge plus move after disembarking plus turn 1 reserve plus move out of reserve plus like reactive move when you die, right? All that stuff is crazy. Plus what a hit and wound when you shoot out of a transport. That's insane. However, we did just describe like 6 command points worth of stuff that only applies to land raiders. So I do think it's probably worse than it feels like from the outset. But it feels like it's ending the universe. So maybe I'm wrong. You don't have, I guess important to note, right? You don't have any melee damage improvements. You don't have any like AP characteristic improvements. You can use like storm speeders and stuff, I get to get some benefits, but you don't have like lance. You don't have anything to buff yourself when you charge out of reserve. So I don't know. Don't worry, it'll be a 1-point detachment. Could you fucking imagine? Fuck me. That'd be so bad. That would be so bad. It's a pure melee pressure detachment. I agree. And I guess like in fairness, you are just like multi-activating with the Redeemer, like on turn 1, right? The Redeemer is just pushing directly forward. It doesn't really matter if you have decent terrain. Then it doesn't really matter where it's set up. It's like posted up in turn 1 because it's going to scout into terrain and then pay SCP to move through the terrain. So even if you go second, it's going to be helpful. And then it's going to shoot and disembark, and the unit's going to move, and then the unit's going to charge. So like its alpha's crazy. However, like does it have the capacity to sustain that is the question. The answer is probably. But I also think too that just like giving a bunch of extra movement to units coming out of transports is like very dangerous, and I don't know if it's like necessarily something I love. I'm already on record as like being I just fucking hate the transport mechanics chat. I think they're so bad. And having a detachment that's all just like do a bunch of shit, let's go with transports. It's like I don't know, man. I don't know if I love it. Anyway, Chance. Have we talked about Storm Ravens yet? What do Storm Ravens do here? I guess do they get they get the effects because if you hover mode them, they're not aircraft? I didn't put that together, chat. Yeah. All right. Well, fair enough. It's not the Land Raider detachment. It is, in fact, the Storm Raven detachment. You're so right. God, that rule's dumb. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah, it's ogre. I guess like it's difficult to strategic reserve them, so that's good. So we can't necessarily bring them out of reserve turn 1. So that's something, right? Because they're really big. The Art of War guys think the detachment's crazy in the last 3 weeks. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that working on movement 20 vehicles is not okay. Yeah, that's fair. I was like, movement 12, probably might be okay. Movement 20, yeah. No good. No good. Yep. Ooh, boy. I guess like worse, even so, right? Even if the heavy transport mechanics didn't work on Storm Ravens, this still would. So you would still get Storm Ravens scouting 9 inches, which is like in and of itself probably not all right. But the fact that then they proc with all the other effects, yeah, is very dumb. Yeah, I'm with you, chat. This was no good. That's no good. You cannot deep strike them. I don't believe they don't have deep strike. This doesn't like nothing gives them deep strike, right? Yeah, they don't deep strike. They're just guys. They're just big silly guys. Enhancement can give them deep strike. Am I stupid? Nothing gives them deep strike. I don't know what you're talking about, chat. Imagine if Grey Knight's Sanctic Spearhead was even close. Yeah, for sure. That would be pretty good. Also, the Storm Raven can go through walls. Yeah. I mean, like, I guess very marginally less good on the Storm Raven because it doesn't often need to. Because they're so big and can through the air over the wall that oftentimes they can go around anyway. But yeah, definitely helpful. I do appreciate that. I was like, well, maybe it's fine because it's all Land Raiders and stuff. Like, no. We said fucking Storm Ravens. Oh, boy. Well, there you go, chat. Yep, that feels a little bit silly. Oh, thank you, chat. Does it apply to Storm Ravens? Good. Good to know. Good to know, chat. I hadn't realized. No one had told me. Yeah, it's the Karidi Storm Raven. Yeah. It's going for days. Whee! But yeah, I think at the very least, like moving 1 million inches of the Storm Raven, and then jumping out with a bunch of melted guys, and then getting +1 hit and wound, and then going back in the Storm Raven, probably too strong. Yeah, this is in fact just better better war host or at least aspect host, probably, I guess. Yikes, chant. GW fix it by nerfing Land Raiders in every army. Yeah, I almost wonder if that. I mean, I'm reading too deep into it, but like I do wonder if that like heralds a change to how the aircraft mechanics works, because I do think that the fact that Storm Ravens or that hover vehicles lose aircraft has been such a thorn for so long that they would like do their their best to change it, probably. Because it keeps like cropping up with these really stupid fucking interactions where it's like, oh well, actually it hull measures now, and because it like hull measures, it can like vertically prevent engagement and all this like bullshit. Like there was that whole thing. I mean, I have a video on it that 1 million people watched, where because you always measure deep strike, you always measure deep strike denial horizontally, but a Storm Raven could, if assembled correctly, be unengageable off its wing. You could deep strike deny people off the wing, but then they couldn't charge the actual hull, so that you're uninteractable out of reserve. And that's all because of like the way the aircraft mechanics work. I almost wonder if that's changing. I would not be sad to see that interaction go, because I think the number of times that it's been problematic has been huge. So this could be a situation where it's like built for mechanics that don't exist, or it could be a situation where they were like, well, we said excluding aircraft, so clearly it doesn't work on the aircraft units, and then forgot that how they fucking wrote their own rules. Yeah, I don't know. They gave glass cannon rules to non-glass cannon units, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just being like, hey, it's a bunch of Gravis models in space and like Terminators in your deployment zone with like -1 damage or 2+ save, transports. Ugh. Yikes. Yeah. I don't know, chat. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's too good. It almost feels like, is it worth even talking about? This is clearly probably going to get changed. It would probably say excluding flying units or something. Then it would work. It doesn't just need to hit aircraft. Could see them legend all the aircraft. Yeah, nothing of value would be lost. They haven't. When was the last time an aircraft released? Was it Archaeopters? Because I don't know if they've like actually released one in a while. There's been a bunch of flying units, but like Archaeopters were end of 8th edition, and then I don't think any other like explicitly aircraft units have released for 40k. Explicitly, obviously there are like legend stuff that you could use from 30k in some cases in 40k, but explicitly stuff for 40k, I don't think we've had aircraft in a while. It could be that they're just like going to move away from the aircraft like design archetype, which would be okay with me, chat. They're either unplayable or too strong. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Even with Land Raiders, it's a problem. Yeah, but I think it's a more manageable problem, right? It's not like it's the only detachment in Space Marines that can just hit you immediately from turn 1. It's just that most Space Marine detachments that hit you immediately from turn 1, like, they don't like have the follow up. Like if I'm like the Victrix Honor Guard transport's hitting me, I can play around it, I can screen it, and then it doesn't have lance, so it's like the regular. They're just like attacking the normal way, which is good enough to kill a thing in most cases. But you're also handing me like 600 points of your army in order to do all of that, and so like, it's probably too good. But like, can you play around it? Yeah, I think so. But I agree that like being able to do it with stuff that moves just like gratuitously far is almost certainly too good. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, chat, I think that's gonna be it. I can't believe I didn't grok that it works on Storm Ravens, but it's been a while since those guys were hyper competitive, so fair enough, I guess. I think we're gonna wrap things up there. That does give me time to go start my live stream, which is good. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming and chilling and hanging out with me. I for one welcome our new Armored Speartip overlords, I guess. The orc stuff seems kind of neat. The Astromilitarum stuff seems okay. I guess sort of aggressively okay. I don't think you're, at least for the time being, you're going to be pushed out of rocking the Grizzled Company for a while. But, there's at least some stuff going around there. And the new data sheets, I think, seem very playable, right? I think Wazdaka Gutsmack is pretty appropriately costed. I guess in Franzia, whatever her name is, Frey seems kind of overcosted, like wildly overcosted. Croyle is probably costed to the point that he's not really played in other factions outside of Imperial Agents, unless you have like a very specific plan for him, which I think is probably good because it's a very powerful effect he could potentially be granting you. But I don't know. I'd be excited to play around with the new stuff if I was an orc player. That's for sure. Oh, anyway, chat. Thanks for watching. We're going to go hang out over on Twitch. Let me grab a link to my Twitch channel so you all can go watch. please come hang out with me over there, and I will see you in a bit. Cheers, everybody.